Yeah. I think it's interesting, right? Because we think about these things, automation in such broad brush terms, but I mean, in many instances, it makes a lot more sense just to keep hiring people to do the job, right? It's not this
Depends on where you
catch
are.
all.
I'm in California.
Ah,
And so,
okay.
us in California, our friends in New York, it's, $20 minimum wage is not $20. Nobody's accepting minimum wage at $20. And it's not just for the intended target of that law. The trickle down effect is instant. If you're running a fast casual concept and you're not forced to do $20 an hour, but McDonald's is, there's a lot of people that are for $3 or $4 an hour are going to make the leap. Because
Mm,
minimum wage was 15.50, and so everybody's going to be looking for a raise. And with inflation and food costs added, it's starting to get untenable for a lot of businesses. And I've heard from and spoken to a lot of independent, small chain, medium, emerging size brands here in California, particularly, and across the country. And they're immediately looking for efficiencies, right? The fastest way to mitigate this increased cost is find efficiencies, not fire people, not hire less people, but cross train and have less people do more work as those people leave, and you can't replace them, you can't find replacements, or you can't pay that wage to make your business work. You need to find optimized workflow and efficiencies. And so there's a lot of conversation going on about how to do that. But some of the fastest ways is to really look at your menu. Menus have gotten bloated post pandemic again. I can't believe it. A lot of them are thinner than they were, but man, some people are just keep piling on those menu items, and that just adds complexity, cost, and time, and waste, and potential loss, and all those things. More labor, more prep labor, more cook labor. So yeah, you're going to start seeing people dial back and get really lean and mean on their menus, and real thoughtful about their pricing. And then the other side is negotiating your supply chain. There's going to be real pressure on the supply chain to work with us on helping the bottom line, because it's starting to get to where it's not worth it for a lot of small, mid-size, and I say mid-size, small, medium, independent chains and growing groups. If they can't make money, any money at the business, they've got to find ways to retool the business. So there's a lot of headwinds coming.
yeah. I don't know if you could expand on it. When did you take over as the CEO of Pepper Lunch? Or I imagine you've had so much time in this industry. I mean, how bad has it truly gotten over the last few years? Because I mean, for me as a consumer, it's kind of crazy, right? I remember when a Chipotle burrito bowl was $7 and now it's 12, 13. How did we get that 100% increase so quickly?
Yeah. So I've been at Pepper Lunch for about 3 days shy of a year. So coming up here February 1. And yeah, but I've been in this business 31 years. So I mean, I get what, like, I started at uh, 3.95 minimum wage in Florida, in 1992. So I've watched it as well, right? Yeah, I mean, inflation was the biggest driver, the post pandemic inflationary period where we all came back and we all kept spending our money. Supply and demand. The more demand we put on the system, and the more supply we required of that system, and that system ramping up to meet that demand of product, drove prices. Absolutely, there was artificial inflation. There were many, many businesses that lost or struggled or nearly went under in the pandemic, and they needed to make up margin, really just to get back to level set, which I empathize and appreciate. But that's on the back of the consumers and us, right? The problem with the restaurant industry in this regard is restaurateurs tend to be very, very slow to increase price. We're very sensitive to the consumer. And it's very noticeable. If you know the burrito bowl is $7.99 and it goes to $8.50, you're going to notice it, right? And so will that drive you away to somewhere else if I'm the only one that raises price? Now, in the last year and a half, every major brand has had multiple price increases, mostly driven by the inflationary supply chain costs and the increased labor costs, because most states, I think 21 states on January 1st raised their minimum wage, and 17 of them went north of $15. Um, and many of those were by big leaps, overnight leaps. It's really easy to do the math. If you know how many hours your total staff works in a week times 52 weeks a year times the increased difference, it's really easy to see 70, 80, $90,000 of margin we don't have. And so so the prices had to go up. And so there's been a lot of things contributing to it post pandemic. But now we're willing to show the price, like we're willing to increase the price. And so all those reasons play into what we're all experiencing it. I eat out 1 to 3 meals every day, 5-6 days a week. I mean, I'm on the road, I'm traveling. When I'm home on the office, I don't have time to go make a sandwich usually. So, I order out a lot, and I run out and grab stuff a lot. And yeah, I mean, I rarely get lunch under $24-$6. I mean, when you get an entree and a drink, and if you get it delivered, forget about it, right? It's 34 to 40 bucks. So, the customer has said to us through their actions, we've seen basket size or average ticket go down. We've seen frequency go down. People are pulling back. People are trading down a little bit to lower cost concepts. And so the entire industry has been talking about this for the whole of 2023 going into 2024. And everybody's got their own ideas, but we're all kind of trying the same things. For us at Pepper Lunch, we recently renegotiated our entire supply chain. We traded up to better ingredients with some of our savings, but we were very aggressive and really leveraged our growth trajectory to get that. But if we didn't do that, I mean, we already raised price once this year. We'll do it at least one more time this year because our prices were held down. Before I came on, price increase was not done very frequently. It's better for the consumer to do a nickel a month than to do $1 a year, right? I mean, it just whatever those and that's not equal math, but it's so much easier to absorb a little bit at a time across the whole system rather than these big chunks, these big jumps. I thought it was this, now it's this. I thought it was that, now it's something else. So yeah, it's a complicated one for sure.